You know what? We should make a pledge that if Trump wins, that everybody has to put their Christmas tree up.
Yep.
Because Christmas came early. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I'm only saying that because Trisha's already put ours up, and I don't want to feel like the odd man out. Wow. Is it possible that I have election fatigue, or did I just not get any sleep last night?
I think it could be a combination of the two. So if you don't get enough sleep because of screaming, and then you also don't get enough sleep because of fatigue, when you think about it all the time, it really can affect your brain.
I think that's what's happening. Because I'm not fatigued about the election. I'm actually energized. Like Tony Gump. Tony Gump's completely energized at this point.
Oh, I'm waking up at 4 in the morning and hitting Twitter right away.
Tony Gump is like, he's a wild man because he's, we all have a lot on the line.
Right.
But, Tony with the business and everything else, like a lot of that hinges on what happens next Tuesday.
Now, this sounds strange, but it hit me when I woke up this morning. I felt like a kid at Christmas morning, or like a young dad at Christmas morning. So I did get my tree out of the attic, and I think I'm going to set it up this weekend.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And then the night before the election, I'm going to sleep underneath the tree.
Nice. You know what? We should make a pledge that if Trump wins, that everybody has to put their Christmas tree up.
Yep.
Because Christmas came early.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I'm only saying that because Trisha's already put ours up, and I don't want to feel like the odd man out.
Well, I'm right behind you.
So, Christmas comes early if Donald Trump wins. How y'all feeling? Like, how are we? I mean, people listen to the radio show. They know where we're at. But, how about you individually?
I'm feeling better than I have in a long time. It's been a rough couple of months, as everybody knows, with the issues that I've dealt with. Mm-hmm. But this has kept me going through it.
Yeah.
The anticipation, and I feel cautiously optimistic. I'm not going to go, woohoo, yeah, cook ass, woo. I'm not going to do that. Inside, I may be doing it.
Leland has been overly, and I'm not saying that he doesn't, that he thinks it's a done deal. Like, he's made it clear that, anything can happen, but
mm-hmm.
He's been more optimistic, I've noticed, over the past week than I would have expected him to be. And that's not a bad thing. Tony Gump, where are you at mentally?
Mentally, I'm positive about the election itself. I think there's enough momentum. It feels like 1984 all over again for me. Like, it just seemed like everybody loved Reagan back then, So, John, yeah. So I'm on that game, but as far as getting inaugurated and them certifying and all that, that's where my gray area lies right now, and that's what's keeping me, a little anxious. But I'll tell you this, I sleep at night because I know that these past few years I've done everything I can possibly do locally or on the internet or whatever to try to help this cause. And I want to, thanks to Alex Jones, because years ago I was watching a show of his, and people were calling in, and one caller said, what can we do? What can we possibly do to affect what the world's going on? He says everybody needs to do something locally, and I've personally done that. So I feel good at least about that part. I've done all I can do, no matter what happens.
Yeah, and I think it may not seem like that big of a deal for people that watch or listen to the radio show, and they may just kind of view it as entertainment. Mm-hmm. But everything we do is, and we'll never know how much we benefit, say, the Trump campaign in this at this point or at this time, but what we do is to do just that, is to make sure that Trump can get in office because he's the right man at the right time, and this is what we need. It's not what we need, it's what we have to have.
Yeah. It's important to feel like that you're doing something, and it hasn't got to be anything large, because we have so many people. It just takes small steps for everybody. If enough does it, that will be more than enough.
Right. Yeah. Too big to rig was a saying that Donald Trump came up with. and that's literally what we're looking at right now. Is too big to rig. Because I know a lot of people that don't pay like complete attention to politics, like us, that are conservatives or voted for Donald Trump in 2020. A lot of those people are like, well, they're just going to do it again. And I don't blame them, because if they're not keeping up with it every day and seeing all the things that are happening in real time, if I was in that position, I'd probably feel the same way. I'd be like, well, they obviously can cheat and get away with it, so they're just going to keep doing that. But I think we can do it. You mentioned Alex Jones. If you'll look at your email, Tony, I emailed you a message that I had sent you on Twitter earlier today, and it is Alex Jones from, what was it, 1990?
97. Wow. I can't remember.
It was like way back in the day when he was on the radio. I guess one of his first radio jobs. And I don't know who he's talking to, but he's going into this whole thing about the big banking systems and everything else. And it's look at him right here. This is
What?
This is crazy. Watch this.
Because if you ask me any questions, you're a conspiracy theorist, and you'll be shunned and you'll be laughed at for thinking that there could be any manipulation and control. Forget the fact. Don't ever ask any questions. Never look under the water. The World Council of Churches. Let me stop you right there.
Yeah, this is
Every
90s.
one of those groups is real. I've seen them on C-SPAN. I've read the Council on Foreign Relations bi-monthly book they put out. You can buy it at Barnes & Noble or any major bookstore, and it's called, the name of it is called Foreign Affairs and World Politics. And the thing in there says, welcome to the New World Order. Do you know your way around? And this is the biggest industry in the world, is corrupt international banking. I don't mean local banking. And it's real. They're out in the open. But the little serfs, the little idiots, because Peter Jennings doesn't tell them, and I don't mean to be mean, but they are, they just go, Big Mac cheeseburger, please. That's all I care about. And I just try to say to them, you idiot, it's real. It's real. It's right here in front of your face. And they just go, no, it's conspiracy. Everything is wonderful. I never question anything. You can't prove one single thread of what you're saying. How dare you? You are a serious travesty. In fact, I am very afraid of you militant-type people.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Look at him. He's a kid.
What a career, though. Think about like how long he's been in the game. From all the way back then. Jeez.
And I just to add to earlier, I'm real proud of you, Andrew, because at 99.5, you were the first true person, and you've never changed since I met you. You're all in Trump, and it seems like all the other hosts, as time went on, the DeSantis people or whatever, I don't want to name names, but everybody now is all aboard the train.
That's right, baby. Yep. That's right. And here's where that comes from, is people in radio, and this includes me, you don't want to be wrong. You never want to get it wrong. You always want to be honest and be transparent with people, but you make, in our industry in particular, you make a lot of predictions. And nothing is better than getting your predictions right and saying, all right, this is what I see happening, and then it happens, and you get to go on the radio and be like, oh, I told you so. It's what radio people like. They love to do that. And when we were dealing with a primary and there's constant chatter, whether it's coming from the media or within the Republican Party and everything else, there was a time where a lot of people thought the Republican nomination, because of what had happened in January 6th and all these other things, that Donald Trump just wasn't going to cut it and we were going to have to move on. So it's not that people were distancing themselves from Trump, but they were just kind of leaving their options open to say it might not be Trump, so they could then turn around and say, well, see, I told you it wasn't going to be Trump. I personally, for me, I didn't care if it was going to be Trump or not. Like, I was sticking with Trump either way.
Yeah.
But I did have faith the whole time that he was going to see it through, because I'd never seen a candidate as good as this one. I just never. And even on its base level, if you want one argument for why Donald Trump should be the guy, it's that he doesn't need anybody's money. That's it. That's it, because that's what all this stuff revolves around, from the wars to the vax to the whatever. Everything revolves around money and making money, and Trump never needed it. He actually came out less wealthy than he went in from 2016 to 2020, and it's like that's a guy. That's the only kind of guy I want, is somebody. I don't care if all of our presidents from here on out are filthy effing rich, like. That's what I want.
Well, I think that this year, 2024, and not just because of the attempted assassination, but he has discovered that there are things bigger than himself.
Yeah.
You know, because, I mean, you know, let's face it, he always has been very self-centered, but he cares about other, or confident. Let's just say confident in who he is, and you see that in his kids. He's confident in the way he raised his kids. And I think now he's kind of discovered not only God, that it's bigger than himself, but that this country, you know, and I think that's why he's willing to. I mean, how many of us would really be willing to go through what the hell he's going through?
Nobody.
You got to have that belief to go through something like that.
Right. And there's a lot of self-deprecation that he'd always done, but he does more of it now because I think you're right. I think he got humbled when it came to the assassination attempts. I've been watching The Art of the Surge, which was a documentary put together by Tucker Carlson's people. It came out on Tucker Carlson Network, but they've recently posted all the episodes on X. There's like 5 or 6 episodes. And the one I was watching yesterday had him, and these are recent, like they put this thing together fast. He is watching the DNC with his team of people, and he's commenting on the on what Kamala is saying at the DNC in real time. And he's sitting by his assistant who's typing out his tweets for him. Like, he's telling her what he wants in it, and she's typing it verbatim and everything else. Here's the clip right here. This is from that documentary. It's called Art of the Surge, and the whole thing is so good. But speaking of who Donald Trump is and kind of where his mindset is now, I think this gives good insight to see how much of just a regular, decent dude, like the type of guy you'd want to hang out with is.
Thank you.
Is she crazy?
Thank you. Thank you all.
Wow.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, too many thank yous. About 20. It must be 35.
She's traveling from India to California with an unshakable dream to be the scientist.
How many people are watching?
Can we tell how many, Dan? How many people are watching?
She's talking about how great San Francisco was before she destroyed it. A lot of talk about childhood. We've got to get to the border, inflation, and crime. Say these out. The things of which she complains. The things of which she complains.
In many ways, Donald Trump is an unserious man.
That's great, huh? Ready? These prosecutions were all started by her and Biden against their political opponents. Me. Get that out right away. She paid and raised bail. She paid bail to get the violent rioters in Minnesota out of jail.
Tim Walz let Minnesota burn. Kamala Harris bailed out the ones who lit the matches.
Put it in there. Put it right in with the stuff, huh?
With that post, yeah.
Put it right in there.
Yeah.
Good.
You could do it either that or separate.
Say more lies, lying about the Project 2025.
Oh, lying against Project 25, which she knows, and so do all Democrats, that I have absolutely
Some
nothing
loud
to do
typing.
with.
They're beating the crap out of that keyboard.
Isn't it amazing, though, to see how the tweets are put together? Like, has anybody ever seen that? He was posting on True Social, but to watch how those actually come together, because that's been such a concentration of, people like, oh, you need to put down the Twitter, you need to do that. And it's simply him just rattling off thoughts to his assistant, and she's typing them out. Which, by the way, that girl right there had some sort of fatal disease and was on her deathbed, and I think the Right to Try Act saved her life, and that's how Trump ended up meeting her.
Wow.
Yeah. It goes through that whole thing in that documentary. So
I just
good.
like the fact that he's doing his own tweets like that, and somebody else is just
He's
doing them.
involved.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
because we all know about Kamala, you know.
Or Joe Biden.
And Joe.
Joe's never done his own tweet. Joe doesn't know how to do it. What about Joe coming out and saying Trump supporters are garbage, and then they try to walk it back? Dude, check this out. For those that have not seen this is crazy. All right, and we all know the deplorables moment, the irredeemable, blah, 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 and everybody says that sank Hillary. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But when you attack, and this is something Trump never does, he never attacks Democrat voters, he just attacks the Democrat officials. Mm-hmm. Democrats, on the other hand, will attack and continue to attack the supporters, calling them Nazis, calling them Hitler, and everything else. And then Joe, on this video yesterday, is just like, yeah, Trump supporters, they're garbage.
Donald Trump has no character. He doesn't give a damn about the Latino community. He's a failed businessman. He only cares about the billionaire friends he has and accumulating wealth for those at the top. He says immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. Give me a break. He wants to do away with the birthright citizenship. Who the hell has said that in the last 100 years? And just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico.
You don't know the Puerto Ricans you know?
My home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable, and it's un-American. It's totally contrary to everything we've done. Everything we.
Way to go, Joe. You know, and you know what their excuse was? Like once this hit the fan and they freaked out, or everybody else freaked out about it. Their explanation was, there was an apostrophe there.
I know, and how does that work?
I think he's saying that his supporters garbage. He's trying to say that Tony Hinchcliffe, his garbage, as in his rhetoric, which is a complete lie. That's not what he was trying to say. He was calling Trump supporters garbage because that's the way he feels, and that's why he's treated the country like garbage. That's why they've thrown people like us in jail, because they think you're garbage. Here's what needs to happen: Donald Trump, before the end of the week, needs to link up with a local garbage company. Ask them if he can work for 15 minutes doing a garbage route, get on the back of that dump truck, and just ride down a few streets. Go down a couple cul-de-sacs. If he does that, this is what the electoral map's going to look like. Right there.
Yeah.
Get on a garbage truck, and that's what the election looks like.
Yeah, baby.
Guarantee you. 538 freaking delegates.
That's beautiful to look at.
Count it, cuzzy. Count it, cuzzy.
Love it.
Including Puerto Rico. By the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel pretty good about it. I mean, everything's trending in the right direction, but we all know you got to beat the cheat. Mm-hmm. And that stuff's happening. We played on the show, Secretary of State. What's her name? Jocelyn something. I can't think of her name. It's Jocelyn.
It's a Michigan one, right?
Yeah, I'll just Google it real quick. Michigan Secretary. It's
Jocelyn Benson.
Jocelyn Benson. That's right.
Jocelyn Benson.
So Jocelyn Benson, who's a flaming lib who covered up fraud in 2020, buried it with the FBI. She now is coming out and saying, we've got some problems with our Dominion voting machines. They're not counting people's ballots. They're not counting people's votes right.
Shocking.
Listen to this press conference from, I think this was today, actually.
Been issues with the programming of the VATs with specifically from Dominion. Mm-hmm. Why was that only caught in the past few days, and why can't it be fixed? I saw the release with the...
Yeah, this is a nationwide issue with Dominion voter access terminals in the counties that use them. And the voter access terminals, of course, not all the machines, just the ones that are accessible, have an issue with the straight party voting and a programming issue that's, again, affected the machines nationwide. And I think all of us that use Dominion machines were unhappy to learn about this during the testing period and as early voting began. So we're working with Dominion to seek accountability on that front, and also are working with our clerks to ensure voters are aware of this programming issue that will require them to ensure they are voting every section on the ballot.
I'm old enough to remember that if you said anything about Dominion voting machines, you would get sued into oblivion.
It's not struck me as I've talked to my other colleagues in other states. They're just as upset about it as we are. So,
real funny.
We're surprised.
Yeah, we're real surprised.
Yeah.
And do you think those Dominion voting machines are swapping Democrat to Republicans?
What the heck? 4 years ago it was an issue. Why are they still being used? They had 4 years to correct everything.
What are you talking about? That was the most secure election in history, right, Tony?
Well, when they told us that, I knew it was all a bunch of bullshit.
Right.
Yep.
It really, I mean, it was, oh, man. See, that's the stuff I'm worried about, because even with what we found out, remember Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis and Sidney Powell all coming out, especially Sidney Powell.
Yeah.
She was absolutely ruined. Her life was ruined because she spoke out against those machines. And now we know. I mean, just a simple aspect of the fact that they connected to the internet. You can connect. I mean, if Israel can blow up a bunch of dirty, stinky, turban-wearing terrorists of Hamas with beepers, anybody could hack into a voting machine. I mean, come on. Come on. And then in Pennsylvania, there were people early voting, and I think this was the last day of early voting. Well, people showed up. There's a ton of people showing up to vote. Republicans are winning in a lot of states, a lot of swing states, the early vote, which is crazy, never happens. And all of a sudden, election officials and police come out, and they shut the line down at like 1:30. The line's you're supposed to be able to get in line up to 4:30. And then after that, they cut the line off and everybody votes. It's like 1:30 in the afternoon. They come cut them off. I think this happened yesterday, a couple days ago. And the people that are showing up are like, what do you mean? You're telling me I can't vote? Here's some of the explanations from the police. Yeah, click to the next video. They might not be talking on this one.
Oh, they're not. Okay.
But yeah, you can bring that down and go to the other one. Let's see. Top right. Yeah, this is some footage of the police. They're walking the sign says line ends here. They're walking over to put it up and prevent people from voting.
They should be like arrested. This is against the law.
Yeah. And can you imagine if Democrats were like blowing Republicans out in the early vote and they had law enforcement come up and tell them, no, you can't vote today? Imagine what would happen.
Yeah, look at the look on this guy's face in the middle of that.
Yeah, he knows. He knows.
He knows.
Talk about voter suppression, though. I mean, come on. So, anyway, that happens. There are people that were showing up that were saying voter protection or voter security, like some sort of name tag that said that they were protecting voters, but it said Dems protecting voters, and they were in on that. They were trying to stop the bleeding because so many Republicans were coming to vote. So with that, the RNC files a lawsuit. And y'all know how often I've said the reason we're winning this thing is because the RNC is actually helping Trump, opposed to in previous years where they don't do anything. And so they've actually taken their money. They put their money where their mouth is. They've hired lawyers. They're on top of court cases and everything else. They're filing lawsuits. Within a day, within 24 to 48 hours, they had filed a lawsuit against that Pennsylvania town or county. I think it's Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and won the lawsuit that quick because they were requesting like an emergency injunction, and the court ruled, yeah, you can't tell these people that they can't vote if they showed up on time, and reversed it. So now, not only do those people get to go vote, but they've had to extend the time that they close so more people can get in. Oh, it's bad for Democrats. But so that's good news. Dominion's bad news. Also, this is bad news. This is out of Pennsylvania where people are waiting to vote, and then all of a sudden busloads of non-English speaking peoples start showing up and going to the front of the line at the voting, the polling place.
Front of the line?
Yes, watch this. This is crazy.
No, they had these people. They had about 12 of them walked in. They were all foreigners, and then they took them up. These younger people helped them to fill out. They say vote PA today, and then they took them up, and somehow they beat a 2-hour line, and then they walked up. And the one lady, they were even asking her. They're like, "We don't have you in the system. Your name's not right." And they're like, "Oh, well, we'll take it back and change it."
Yeah.
How do you change your damn name?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you.
So what's going on here? Are they busing in migrants to vote? Like, what's going on? And that's concerning, but it's after seeing what happened with that RNC lawsuit and how they stopped Bucks County from doing what they were doing, it gives me a little bit of hope, because I know if I'm seeing that, the RNC is seeing it, and they're immediately doing something. Elon Musk is posting on X. He's saying, hey, if you see something that raises election security questions, post it on X. He is telling people directly, you see anything, say something right here on X. We'll get it to the right people.
And he's not saying Republicans, if you see something. He's saying anybody.
Yeah, he didn't put
regardless of the sides, but we know which side is doing it.
And this is why we're ahead right now, because in 2020, we didn't all have our head on a swivel looking for election fraud. We were concerned with ballot drop boxes. We were concerned about the massive mail-in voting, but our hands were tied because they were using Ovid-K. They were using the virus as an excuse for that. Oh, we can't put people in danger, blah, blah, blah. And so we were stuck. But we weren't looking for fraud in the way that people are now. People are whipping out their phones. They're calling people out. They're drawing attention to it immediately. And the people that are online are immediately seeing it because they're on the lookout as well. Word spreads fast. Get to the right people, to the right lawyers. Boom, bada bing, bada boom. And we're fixing these things at the last minute to where Democrats can't turn around and do what they did in 2020, which is change the rules in the 12th hour, the 11th hour, and everything else. So,
and what's the big difference? Now, what's one thing that's really different from 2020 is Twitter.
Yep.
And the access that everybody's got. And that's where social media is where most people are going to get their news. But at least with Twitter, you're getting more of the overall what's going on.
You had nowhere in 2020 to report voter fraud. Nowhere. You could send it to the Secretary of State's office or the Board of Registrars or whatever, but they weren't doing anything about it. No. They're busy. They're tied up trying to conduct elections. So yeah, we'll look at that after the election. And we all remember the feeling after the election. We're like, this has got to be fixed. And shredded trucks are pulling up to the ballot storage places and everything else. And they're essentially saying, F you, buddy, it's over. There's nothing we can do now, even if you did get cheated.
Yeah, you remember the water main break in Atlanta?
Yeah.
That whole mess, too?
All of that, man. All of it was all
those
bogus.
Stories.
I'll give Steven Crowder credit. The Mug Club. You familiar with Mug Club? It's kind of Steven Crowder has been doing these undercover stings as of late when it comes to kind of like a Project Veritas or a James O'Keefe deal. And maybe if you want to pull up another tab, pull up Twitter and look up Mug Club election to see if you can find this video. He has one of these election workers from Atlanta. And
is that it?
No. Type in Mug Club undercover or something. I'm trying to think of what the guy. Anyway, he was laying it all out there. He was involved in the elections, and he's like, "Yeah, this is what happened. This is what they were doing. This is how they were doing the ballots and everything else." I had it on.
Because there's a bunch here with different dates on it.
Yeah, it's an undercover video of a black guy sitting at a table.
And it was in Atlanta, you said?
Yeah, Atlanta election. I'm going to try to see if I can find it too. Because I watched the whole thing and it was, we may not be able to find it. I think Gateway had it in a story, but anyway, y'all get the idea. And so in that undercover deal, he ends up just spilling all the beans. Now, it was nothing that I was shocked by. I knew it was all going on, but he was talking about the ballot harvesting, the people being paid to pick up ballots and go drop them off and everything else. And it's what we all knew, but people, especially somebody like him that was involved in it, to be openly talking about it, that also contributes in stopping these people from stealing elections.
Now, 2 points. Was this before 2,000 Mules, or was it after?
And this is something that just came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because after the 2020 election, as these last 3.5 or 4 years have gone on, all these proven things where they proved that there was, I don't want to say it, but bad things happening, they just seem to come out one by one and very silent, like just real quiet.
Yep.
But we hear about it. It's like, okay, there's another 30,000 or there's another 40,000, and it's all added up to where the whole damn thing was rigged.
And they did it. I mean, you got to give them credit. They did it in a smart way, because how many votes, once you break it down to the swing states and everything else, they won by 14,000 votes. Joe Biden did. And it was because they were strategic in where they were stealing, or where they were padding the vote. And I don't like to give them credit for anything, but at the end of the day, the popular vote wasn't going to win you, so you couldn't cram them all in one or two states. You had to do it in Wisconsin and Michigan and Georgia and everything else. Georgia's not a swing state. It's not.
I just think it's who they appointed, and they got their people in their places per Klaus Schwab, penetrate the cabinets, etc. But why is it that all the swing states are the ones that are taking forever to count each time now?
Right.
Why doesn't California come out and say, hey, we have the most people, we're going to have a problem counting all these? They don't have a problem at all.
They got the Democrats in charge,
right,
doing exactly what they're told, and it's all part of the larger scam.
I mean, even here in Alabama, we do it all in like a few hours, and bada bing, bada boom, done.
Even people that don't really think about the election being stolen, they're still pissed off about what this country has become in 4 short years.
Oh, yeah.
And all the time we address people in Chicago that are at the Chicago City Council meetings. We had one a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And it was this lady that Jessica Jackson is her name, and she shows up to these meetings with her friends, and they're straight MAGA at this point because of what they've done with Chicago, with the money, with the immigrants and everything else. And she's I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see her at a Trump rally on stage soon, but just listen to what she says to the City Council of Chicago.
You're running the city to the ground. We've asked you over and over again to stop with the spending.
I'd hate to piss her off.
Told your cronies to stop
she whooped some ass.
They won't stop you. They're letting you run ragged in here. They're letting you run the city through the ground. They won't stop you. So because of that, you've given us no choice. We got to go to the federal level. We got to go to Donald J. Trump.
That's right.
He's made it clear what he's going to do. See, I got to have some help. I can't let you and Cook County and the city take what my mother worked for and left for her children.
Here we go.
Just because you feel like it, just because the Democratic Party think they all that, like they untouchables. This is America. You bring these people over here that's from socialist countries and all this and that, and y'all think y'all gonna run that here.
Say that.
Black America said, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
The true white Americans are saying, no, you're not. The true Latino, the true Asians are saying, no, you're not. I'm telling you, Brandon Johnson, from my heart to yours, Trump 2024. No matter who.
That's right, baby.
Donald J. Trump. Trump 2024. He gonna stop the bleeding. He gonna deal with this sanctuary city, and he gonna help us get you out.
Yup.
Get anybody out who wrong with you.
Right.
You think they gonna tear up Chicago?
Right.
Y'all getting out too. This is our city. You can sit there, think like you acting like you ain't paying attention, acting like it don't apply to you. Oh, yes, it does. You ain't untouchable either, Silverstein. We coming for anybody
Yup.
who ain't about Chicago.
That's right.
You got that?
That's right.
2024, big baby.
That's right.
There we go. Yes. Yeah.
Total badass.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's on fire, man.
We're coming for you.
And that's not a rare occurrence. Like, that's happening at city council meetings all the time in Chicago. All the time. And a lot of it has to do with immigration. A lot of it has got to do with their city being flooded with illegals. And they're watching it, to take away their not just maybe benefits from the state or from the city, but like playgrounds, rec centers. Like, these people are overrunning the streets. They're cooking rats and Venezuelan rat kebabs.
Third world, man. It's
Yeah.
turned into a third world country.
It's crazy.
Yeah, to me, it's very sad. It took it to where it's had to be in these people's faces.
Yeah.
Like grocery prices, et cetera, for them to get this active when we all kind of saw it coming.
Yeah, because
But your world is small anyway, so when it started to penetrate their world and really get closer and closer and closing on closer, that is when they realized.
Well, it's, there's no point in us going to these people and saying, I told you so.
Oh, no.
But we all said, hey, this is what's going to happen if you keep voting Democrat. As far as Trump's cabinet, I know I'm all over the place. What we said today, like, how exciting is it going to be to have the political Avengers as a presidential cabinet of Donald Trump with RFK Jr., with Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, I don't think Tucker Carlson would ever take a job with the White House.
Oh, wow.
But, wow.
Come
how
on,
awesome would that
Vivek,
be?
baby, Vivek.
Vivek Ramaswamy, Byron Donalds, like all these major players, dude.
Well, see, Trump knows who to pick now because he's been through the ringer with it.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
And Elon's my favorite just because of the budget, and he'll be able to shave off. He said $2 million at the Madison Square Garden rally. He says he thinks he can take $2 million off of the budget spending, which would put us back into a surplus, which we haven't been in since the early to mid 90s.
$2 million or $2 trillion?
$2 trillion. Excuse me.
I was going to say $2 million ain't.
Oh, that ain't nothing.
Back in 1833.
That's a drop in the bucket. Tom Homan is another one. Tom Homan was the guy that kind of ran. What's the department he was in?
I think he was like in charge of border.
Yeah,
something.
I just can't think of what that office was called. I guess it's maybe under DHS, but they had him on 60 Minutes, and they were trying to paint him as some sort of bigot. And they're like, "How are you going to do mass deportations?" And but it's going to cost this much. Like, Democrats care about what something costs. How are you going to do that? Hang on. Listen to his response when he's asked about separating families.
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
Pay it.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
What price do you put on national security? Is that worth it?
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
Come on, guys.
I mean,
hopefully
says
YouTube
it all.
can cut that out. But send them together. Because again, the family separation stuff is so stupid. Because if any of us break the law, we're going to be separated from our family. They're going to put you in jail.
Yep,
and you're separated. But hey, what did she say? 88 billion a year.
Yeah, that's like Ukraine money.
Thank you.
Right, you gotta stop funding Ukraine and a million immigrants a year. I don't think that's enough. I think we need to do more like 5 a year.
Elon be able to put it in the budget for sure.
Oh yeah, he'll fix it.
One thing I was thinking about is, I forgot what I was going to say. And, when you forget what you're going to say, it's hard to wiggle out of it without being embarrassed.
Right.
So I'm going to take my glasses off so I can't see the camera so I'm not embarrassed. Andrew, back to you.
Okay.
So much going on. We understand, John. It's all right.
Brain hurt bad.
Let's break the ice with this. So with how well things are going for Trump, and how poorly things are going for the Democrats. Mm-hmm. If you watch CNN or MSNBC at any point during the day, they're all like at each other's throats. I mean, they're melting down. They just can't cope because they see what's coming down the pike and they're freaked out. They were having discussions of, I think they were talking about the Palestinian, whatever part of, the campaign and what each person's saying. And the Republican they've got on the panel is going back and forth with that Hassan, what's his name?
Mehdi Hassan.
Mehdi Hassan.
Yeah.
And the Republican calls him an anti-Semite, which is true. If you're promoting Hamas propaganda, that's exactly what you are. And he loses it because, again, they're all on edge already. He loses it. And then the Republican guy says something about, I hope your beeper doesn't go off. Watch this. This is so good.
If you don't want to be called Nazis, stop doing.
You're called an
anti-Semite
more than anyone else at this table.
Yeah.
And people will sit there and no, by me. I never called you an anti-Semite. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians. I'm used to it.
Yeah, I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is,
you should not.
No, I
did
said
you just say I should be killed?
No, I did not say that. No, I did not say that.
Hold on.
Did your guest just say I should be killed on live TV?
I said I hope
Guys,
you.
let me just stop.
You said you hope my beeper doesn't go off.
That's the opposite of you dying.
Hamas.
Guys, let me
stop.
Palestinian.
Are you?
Am I what? No, of course I'm not.
I apologize.
Are you a racist, violent person inciting violence against me?
Ryan, that's disgusting. That is completely.
No, I apologize.
That
Good
is
job, CNN.
completely
Let's have first block say the
These
Muslim
people have so much TDS. It's unbelievable.
Don't say then I apologize. You literally.
I thought he said Hamas.
You didn't think I said Hamas. I said I supported Palestine.
Why?
Because when you hear
What's funny is Rudy
Palestinian,
Giuliani said this yesterday, so you're a great guest to be here.
So anyway, they continue to freak out. And first of all, he didn't say he hoped you died. He said he hoped your beeper doesn't go off, which would keep you from dying.
Right.
Good point.
Second of all, this Mehdi Hassan guy is, I don't know if he's a former imam or whatever, but there's a lot of footage out there of him speaking at a mosque, and he's calling people that are gay like subhuman and like really degrading people that he would never be allowed to say on CNN. So I'm like, CNN, you going to defend this guy? You need to look into his past. I mean, he's got some cancelable stuff.
They think they're above it. They won't have to do it. It's like they move on to the, just like with Ukraine. Where's Ukraine in the news? No, we've moved on to something else.
Right.
It's like whatever's the next thing.
Well, and Ukraine's losing badly right now. Mm-hmm. Tony knows it because he sees it too. But
oh yeah, they've already lost as far as I'm concerned.
Right, and Russia's just creeping further and further as time goes along, further and further in. And at this point, I would dare say Ukraine is ready for this election to be over and for Donald Trump to win, so they can put a stop to the war, because they're going to lose the whole country. If it does not stop, like Donald Trump says, I can get this to stop before I'm even president. Well, I'm president-elect. He would be doing Ukraine a huge favor.
Yeah.
Because if this drags on another 2-3 months, there is no Ukraine. That's Russia now. It's going back to the old days. So Vladimir Zelensky. Also, by the way, Trump needs to audit the ish out of every dollar that went to Ukraine.
Oh, God.
Put together a special committee, send them over to Ukraine, and track down every penny, see where it went.
I wouldn't be surprised if 30 to 40, maybe 50% of that money never even went where it was supposed to go.
Absolutely.
You know it.
And a lot of it went in the form of weapons. So that money went to weapons manufacturers here in this country. But even the weapons would end up on the black market.
Yeah.
Because they turn around and sell the weapons, get the money for
Exactly.
it. Ends up in the hands of terrorists and bad guys all over the world.
Not to mention they were finding the politicians that had those closets or suitcases full of cash.
Yeah.
And they were escaping or whatever.
Crazy.
Yeah, and not just a little bit. It was jam-packed full of cash.
Well, speaking of money, speaking of accountability, we have talked about this, and it's a real concern. We know they want Donald Trump dead. Like, there's no secret.
Oh, yeah.
But when Donald Trump put out this idea, he floated this idea. It's not an official policy position, but when he floated out this idea of eliminating federal income tax, like, I mean, that's JFK stuff. Like they are going to want to take you out if you do that. It started right here. He was at a barber shop, and he was talking to the guys there, and he just puts the idea out there. Watch their faces.
With all this extra revenue we're going to be bringing into the country. So do you believe at some point in time we could find a way, once the country's back on its feet and getting enough revenue and paid off our debt, do you think it's possible to find a way to eliminate federal taxes?
There is a way.
And how do you feel
about
it?
In the old days, when we were a smart country, in the 1890s and all, this is when the country was relatively the richest it ever was. It had all tariffs. It didn't have an income tax.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Now we have income taxes, and we have people that are dying. They're paying tax, and they don't have the money to pay the tax. No, in the old days, 1890, 1880, we had so much money, they had to set up committees, blue ribbon committees, how to spend our wealth. We had no idea how to spend it with so much money. Then we went to the income tax system, and the rest is sort of history. But no, there is a way. I mean, if what I'm planning comes out, it's a great question, by the way.
Everyone could attain the American dream.
Sophisticated cat, you know.
Everyone could attain the American dream if it wasn't for the high cost, the burden of high taxes, and we're taxed at every step of the way. Yeah. When we make it, when we spend
regulations. And regulations.
So Tony Gump knows that. I mean, you just get,
by 4 times.
But you get punished for being successful.
Yep.
And you will be taxed into oblivion for generating money, adding to the economy. They'll take half of what you got.
Yeah, you could fact check me. Well, this is without Googling it, but I believe it was 1892 was when they first had the 1% tax, and the people revolted, and then the Supreme Court came out, and they got rid of that 1% and went right back to nothing, and then it took, 1913 Federal Reserve is when it kicked back into place.
I'm thinking as a non-economist here, but if you eliminate income tax and you run strictly on tariffs, stuff that is imported will be more expensive. But if it's more expensive and people stop buying it as often, the prices will come down. Mm-hmm. Also, the products and services that are being sold and made in the USA are going to be bought more often because they're going to be cheaper because there's no tariff. It's not coming from overseas.
Right.
So not only do you make a ton of money off the tariffs coming from other countries when they're importing their stuff, but you got more jobs being created here. Companies are coming back because they don't want to pay those tariffs and everything else. And it's like,
well,
it's a no-brainer.
The Democrats can't think about more than one thing. It's like they'll move over here and try and address it. And Trump thinks about multiple angles. You've got one thing, okay, the economy. What are all the things going to do to bring the economy back to where it was? Right. And it's not just, okay, we're going to tax the rich more, those billionaires, we're going to, give money here and there. No, it's multifaceted. It's not that simple. And the Democrats are simple. This whole administration, everything they've done is one-pronged and it's simple.
Yeah.
They focus on Ukraine and everything else goes to hell.
Yeah.
Then they try and focus on something else and everything else goes to hell.
Don't worry about veterans on the street or anything.
Yeah. 2 points to that. One, if they did get rid of the income tax, even if prices went up coming into the country, everybody would have more money. There would be no income tax.
Correct.
So you could afford it. That's one point. And the second point I'd like to really bring up is, of course, 1860s and before there was slavery. Everybody knows about that. But the closer our tax gets to 100%, that's 100% slavery. That's all it is. So wherever you live, the higher your tax rate, the closer you are to being a full-time slave. And
indentured servitude.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah, and I already kind of feel like a 30% slave myself or whatever it is.
You are. You absolutely are. They're going to just continue to tax you into oblivion.
Just piss the money away. Just piss it away.
Yeah, and no income tax, too, would create so much good competition. It would be so healthy for this country. But unfortunately, the globalists don't like that. They like to maintain control of people. You have to get up. You have to go to work to pay your taxes.
But listen, guys, I know that sounds important and stuff, and you're worried about being a slave to the government. But here's what the real threat to America is.
Okay.
Republicans are going to ban porn. they're going to ban the porn.
What?
That's right. That's what the Democrats told me. Forget the income. Forget all this economy talk. Republicans are going to ban porn. Just like that ad I showed you the other day. You actually didn't see it. You only got to hear it.
Only got to hear it.
Oh, God. Watch this.
You've got it?
Yeah, this is, it's a little uncomfortable at first,
Look
but
at
just
this,
roll
guys.
with it.
Warning.
Warning.
Oh! Sorry, you can't do that.
What the hell, man? How'd you get in here?
I'm your Republican congressman. Now that we're in charge, we're banning porn nationwide.
You can't tell me what to do. Get out of my bedroom, you creep.
I won the last election, so it's my decision. I'm just gonna watch and make sure you don't finish illegally.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
So Democrats are now putting out ads of dudes beating off. Is anybody surprised by that? Did Tim Walz put this together?
I gotta say, I'm actually
Imagine
surprised
he's the
they did
director
that.
behind it. Okay, now do this and do this.
Tim Walz is like, can I be the guy on the couch?
And don't forget to take 19 trips to China or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, bring in the horse.
Yeah, Tim Walz is beating off to bestiality and CCP propaganda.
Jeez, man.
Crazy, man. Crazy. But thank God for podcasts like this. I mean, that we can put that stuff out there. Not us, just us, but like
Everybody
so many
that's
other
doing
outlets.
it. Yeah.
It's changed the game. I mean, going back to the election, you think about the Full Send podcast, you think about the Theo Vaughns, you think about Joe Rogan. Like, how big was it that Joe Rogan has Donald Trump on his podcast? I personally didn't think it would happen. I was like, they're probably not going to do it. Joe Rogan's just going to be like, whatever. He'll probably invite him. He had already invited him. But I was like, they're not going to do it. And I think once Trump started seeing how much he was benefiting from going on these podcasts, at the advice of Barron Trump, he said, oh, it's a no-brainer. I got to go. Because
And now J.D. Vance.
And J.D. Vance is on there.
He's going to be filling in.
Yeah, today.
Kamala said, made all these demands, and Joe's like, no, I'm good.
He knew. Trump knew that Kamala would never do it. It's amazing how all of that stuff, like just when it comes to podcast, how it all played out over time, and how like now that it's the biggest thing ever, it's the exact time that we needed it. Like, how important is this podcast X, whatever?
I'm glad you said that, because I've always thought they planned this the whole time to kind of climax at the end. Bad way to put it, but
Jody, I'm your Republican senator.
After the ad that had me say that, but it almost seems like it was planned out. Just kind of like the grand finale, the fireworks at the end. They saved the biggest for at the very end, and I think if they planned it, that's just genius.
Well, we know they think 12 steps ahead. I mean, there's no doubt. It's just like I said yesterday, Donald Trump putting his name on those stimulus checks. There's so many people out there that are voting for Trump because they're like, Trump gave me a stimmy.
Yep.
And I like that. So even though hopefully you'll not be getting another stimulus because we won't have a reason to be handing them out, but still, you know what I'm saying? It's worked out politically.
Yeah, and everything he does is planned out. Just like that was planned out to think down the road. Everything that he is doing now from a political standpoint is thinking about down the road. What is it going to do to benefit America? It's all about benefiting America.
There's this clip out there, and it's Joe Rogan on the Tom Green show. I don't know if this was a Tom Green, and you can see if you can find it, Tony. When Tom Green had an internet show before anybody had an internet show, and he would do like guest or whatever. I think he was doing this before the Tom Green show went to MTV, maybe. So this is early on. This is 90s.
I found it.
He brings on Joe Rogan as a guest, and they're sitting going back and forth and talking about this idea of doing internet TV shows, what we now know as podcast. And it's a fascinating watch. Here it is. And
I hope this is the right one.
Yeah, I think that's it. And so just watch how they talk about this. Again, it's like way back. I don't know the exact date, but
This
this is
says
back in the 90s.
2007,
Okay.
I think.
It's
The thing about
2007?
hackers is they're all shitheads, every single one of them. There's no really cool, enlightened, intelligent hecklers. They're all douchebags that don't give a fuck about other people. They get drunk and they want to yell out and they think they're important. They're assholes. If you knew them in real life, for sure they'd be assholes. There's no super cool hecklers. They don't exist.
I guess 2007 makes sense.
Don't ever
That's
feel
probably
bad
right.
if I yell at some person in the audience.
There's your answer, man.
Well, can I have a quick shot with both of you guys, or what? I got some Dr. McGillicuddy's here, some Fireball. Mind if I do a shot with you guys?
Sure, yeah.
Great stuff here.
You drink shots?
Great stuff.
Sure, I'll drink a shot.
Here we go, guys. Here we go.
Jaeger or
Prost.
something. We're getting a
Prost.
camera put in the fridge. We're getting a toast. Cheers, man. Cheers.
Dude, I think this is fucking awesome.
Thank you, man. See, no, I mean,
this is the craziest thing ever.
To me, it gets fun when I just can sit here and just be the kind of computer guy and set you up with some calls here. Because you know how excited, you think it's cool for us. Think how cool it is for some kid who just gets to call up and talk to his favorite comedian on the air, look him right in the eyes, and have a goofy conversation. And the first time we got on the air, it was like with this. The first night we did Skype, it was just so awesome. Bob Saget was here, and Max Miller was the caller in New York. And Bob Saget made a joke about diarrhea. And basically, you know, it would cut from here to New York, and Max Miller full screen, laughing, you know, his friggin' piss out of himself. And it was just kind of this moment. Eh, Bill, don't you agree? In your new $400 shoes that Diesel sent you today, because you work at Webovision? Okay,
so
cool.
you're connected.
You're connected. It really is different.
Listen to the
you know?
quality of
And
that.
Television
It's way better.
It's like radio, but it's like television, and the genre is different because we can sit here and ramp. You know, there isn't that time constraint. You know, isn't that pressure? I mean, you know, we want to keep it moving.
Well, not
obviously,
only
but,
that,
you know,
there's not a corporate pressure. See,
Yeah.
the thing that fucked up television, the thing that fucked up entertainment in general, is money. They were selling advertising. So everybody has to say certain words, don't say certain words, don't bring up certain subjects. You can't just express yourself because you're expressing yourself to someone who's selling advertising space. Yeah. And that's all and that fucks up everything. It doesn't make anything good.
We need a fucked up advertiser around here, that's all.
You just need to keep doing this.
That's interesting, the drinking Corona.
We need to figure out how you make money from this.
Yeah. I've got a lot of neat ideas I want to talk to you about because I know you're into this computer thing. I think we create a national interweb, we call it, okay? Because we're on the national internet. I think we make a thing called the national interweb. We're all creative people that are online on the web, link themselves together through a series of links.
Isn't that
and
crazy?
Create a mass traffic
like a portal
gauge, like a
like
portal,
some sort of
like a portal into the advertising revenue stream.
Yeah, no shit.
You know, and take a little bit from the big wigs, right?
Dude, this is,
I mean, fancy suits.
They don't need to exist.
Yeah.
They're non-creative people. We talked about this before the show. They're non-creative people who are controlling creative things.
Yeah.
And they want to have their input. And it's fucking maddening. That shit that happened with Chappelle when he left Comedy
give us
Central.
jobs as well.
Yeah, they give you jobs and it's nice that you're making ridiculous amounts of money.
We've all had great times together as well.
Fuck them, man.
We're all caught
Isn't
up
that fascinating though? Because like it was almost like podcasts were born in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
As they were just kind of, they had their gears working and they were coming up with it in real time.
And what do we do during the show? We're not thinking, we're just
putting it out there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it says
Cool.
it was 2007, and then in 2009, Joe Rogan started the Joe Rogan Experience.
Because remember when he first started his first podcast, he was in like he was like in his bedroom on a regular webcam. You remember that?
Wasn't he like on a couch with Joey Diaz like way long ago or something like that?
I don't remember.
Just interview him with like a microphone in his hand or
We
something.
need to find a little snippet of his very first show.
I remember one being like super choppy with like a real cheap webcam. But I mean, back in 2007, you know, the internet wasn't necessarily new, but it didn't have a lot of juice
Well, you couldn't
to
really
it.
do a lot of video streaming. I mean, there just wasn't the power available.
You were, chatting on MIRC and AOL Instant Messenger.
If they would have had this technology in 2007, I would almost assume Barack Obama wouldn't have been elected.
Yeah, he'd have his own podcast instead. Talking
No,
about,
all the information about him would have came out.
oh yeah, that too. I was thinking about a podcast
Big Mike?
about hand jobs from Larry Sinclair. Either way, anyway, a lot of stuff, lot to take in today. obviously election coming up. We feel good about it. Hopefully that sticks and stays. A non-election issue that I want to talk about real quick comes from my lovely wife, who sent me this TikTok and said, "Have you seen this?" Now it's about Wesley's booby trap, and those that don't live in this area, it's a local, like, rundown, legendary strip club where they even have blocks of wood that you beat on the stage whenever your like applause or I don't know how it works, something like that. This is a type of strip club that'll probably maybe have a pregnant stripper or two, maybe a stripper missing a limb, just
maybe a grandma.
Maybe a grandma, just a different. So it's legendary in that sense, but it just recently went up for sale, I guess a few months ago, and somebody bought it. And when it was purchased, I had heard the name, but the name didn't click for me as far as like who that was. I was like, it's just some firm. Maybe they want to bulldoze it and just use the property or whatever. And Trish sends me this TikTok of this lady explaining how she thinks she's figured out who it is that's bought Wesley's booby trap. Okay.
I wasn't going to make another video, but I feel like I need to address this. So anyone from Alabama, pretty sure y'all know what this is up here. Have you heard of this? This is close to where I live. And they recently put this up for sale. I don't know how true this is and how true these documents are, but we are about to have something crazy happen in my area.
Oh, yeah.
Because someone shared these documents. Do y'all see this document? This is for the sale of that property. And it was bought by Warrior Robin LLC.
Oh.
So someone did a little digging, and supposedly this is the man that is the owner of the Warrior Robin LLC, otherwise known as Billy Ray Jesus.
It's Billy Ray Jesus.
And if y'all have not heard about the supposed cult in Warrior, Alabama with Billy Ray Jesus, y'all need to go look that up. Oh, man. But if they bought Wesley's booby trap, and they are going to bring their church international to the Wesley's booby trap, I don't know what to think. But this has just blown my mind that Billy Ray Jesus has supposedly bought the Wesley's booby trap. Can anyone confirm this for me here in Alabama? Someone please confirm this.
Yep, so AL.com confirmed it.
Oh, did
There's
they?
an article. Yeah, I read it.
Oh man, what?
I saw the price at $250K. I had heard it went up for sale for $800K originally. Not that I looked into it or anything.
Pole dancers for Jesus.
Yeah, what is he going to do with it? Like, obviously, you're probably going to tear the building down.
You've got to at least gut the inside.
But he's bought so much property, and he ends up buying property from people like that are unsuspecting. You take, for instance, we know that Lonnius Furniture moved, Leland's advertiser. They bought their old warehouse, which it was, they needed to upgrade anyway.
Right.
But Lonnius Furniture didn't know that Billy Ray Jesus was buying it, and I'm not saying that would have swayed them one way or the other. They needed to sell that property, but he's going around and buying all this property in Warrior. Why are you going out to Jasper-ish to buy the booby trap? It's nowhere near where your church is. Are they trying to expand it? Like, what's going on?
My thoughts are that they're getting so much donation money, they have to spend it somehow, and there's really only two certain things in life is land and gold kind of thing.
And boobies.
And boobies. But
don't get trapped there.
We're here talking about it, so maybe it was a
publicity stunt.
There's another possibility, and this is in no way associated with this church, but Church of the Highlands, they would buy properties and they would have satellites, and they have satellites, and it's like the main pastor is broadcast via video to all of these. Maybe he's thinking, well, God, they're doing a lot of, I want to do that.
Billy Ray Jesus satellite church.
Yeah. That's something to think about.
Now, there's one more option he could have is to buy it and then fix it up and then resell it, but I highly doubt he's doing that.
Nah, he's looking to buy property and keep it. There's just some weird stuff going on. I mean, it is what it is. If you want to be a part of that church, it's fine, but whether it's that or Church of the Highlands, like I've been left with a bad taste in my mouth when it comes to these super big churches like that. And I think what happens is I don't know about the Cult International, but when it comes to like Church of the Highlands, you got too many players, and the more people that you have to put in charge because the operation is so big, it increases your chances to have some bad apples in those spots, and then bad things starts happening, and the fish starts to rot from the head or whatever that saying is.
Or the boobs start to sag.
Yeah, the boobs start to sag, and your wooden block falls off the table, and it's just a whole thing.
Well, at least they were just banging pieces of wood on the table.
Yes. That's what you think. Anyway, we got to get out of here. Tony Gump, you got some final words?
Yeah, Trump 2024, baby.
Yeah!
We got to pull this off. We need to win the election, and we need to protect him underneath some kind of bubble until January 20th. And we need to get rid of federal income tax so we can get this country way ahead of everybody else in this world. We can really do this.
Protect this man at all costs.
And remember to have plenty of water, meat, sunlight, and sleep.
Good advice. John Bird?
Always push forward. Never back up. Our founding fathers, they pushed forward. They froze. They starved. But they pushed forward to make America. Are we going to make America great again? Now, I ate at a local fast food place, and it has not made me great again. I've had some issues with diarrhea. But you know what? I live in America, so I can go to the Walmart or any other store, and I can get diarrhea medicine to take care of that. Now think of all the countries, all the people out there that have diarrhea that can't go to a store, and realize that America is the greatest country in the world where you can get anything you want, including diarrhea medicine. And that's what I'm going to do as soon as this podcast is over, because I believe in America. Trump forever.
Bravo.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was good stuff. You okay?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get out of here so you don't mess yourself in our chair here. So,
yes, sir.
Make sure you like, subscribe, show us some love. The more comments we get on these videos, the better. You'll just comment and share it and tell everybody about it and subscribe and all that. Yeah.
USA.
And USA. And as Trump says, fight, fight, fight. Yep. Until next time, see you, cuz.